Are we live now? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Arizona Commission for the Deaf and the Hard of Hearing special board meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 17th. Kyla, can you kick us off with roll call?
Of course. We'll start with the commissioners participating remotely. Commissioner O'Rourke,
Here.
Commissioner Cohen,
Here.
Commissioner Bulmarkic,
Here.
and then Commissioner Swenson.
Present.
All right. In person, Commissioner Madsen,
Here.
Commissioner Thompson,
Here.
Commissioner Cinco,
Here.
Commissioner Scarborough,
Here.
Commissioner Kidd,
Present.
Commissioner Herron,
Here.
Commissioner Goodstein,
Hello, I'm here.
and Commissioner Williams. Great. Our AAG, Elise Phelan. ACDHH staff present, myself, Kyla Dalton Nava. And I think that's it for the roll call.
Thank you so much, Kyla, for doing our roll call. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes. We have 3 meeting minutes that we need to approve: November 7th, November 8th, and December 3rd. Do we have a motion?
This is Commissioner Scarborough.
We'll wait until we get the camera on Commissioner Scarborough. Gonna test this out to see if it'll work.
This is Commissioner Scarborough. I move to approve the 3 separate meeting minutes.
Commissioner Kidd, I second that. We have a motion on the floor to approve the minutes. We have a motion from Commissioner Scarborough and a second from Commissioner Kidd. All in favor? Please raise your hand. Any opposed?
Have we voted already? This is Commissioner.
Wait, I don't think anyone on Zoom has voted.
Right now, we've
Kyla?
had Commissioner O'Rourke and Commissioner Swenson that have voted to approve it, but we are still waiting on Commissioner Cohen and Commissioner Bulmarkic to vote on Zoom. We just got a vote from Commissioner Bulmarkic, and we've got a vote from Commissioner Cohen. And to approve, yes.
This is Commissioner Cienko. Okay. Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. I do want to talk a little bit about tonight's meeting. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to interview the 2 candidates, Sue K. Kneifel and Carmen Green Smith. I do want to let the board know that the interviews will be done during executive session. However, any legal questions that we have for our AAG will not be possible. Those questions will need to be asked on Friday. I also want to let the board know that our candidates have requested that any discussion of their qualifications, expertise, and so forth will be done in open session. Elise Phelan, anything you'd like to add to that?
No, that's perfect.
This is Commissioner Cienko. Great. Okay, I just wanted to let everyone know we're really excited that we are able to move forward with the interviews this evening to then pick someone who will help lead this agency. Next, we will have the candidate presentations. Who would like to go first? We'll flip a coin. All right. Rob Vorek proposes that we flip a coin. He's laughing in the back there.
I'm going to test this up here. Is that close enough? Okay. Ready?
Any discussion on qualifications will happen in open session. This is Commissioner Cienko. Just wanted to clarify. I will provide a further explanation. The floor is yours.
Give us just a second to get.
And this is Suke. I'm just waiting for the PowerPoint.
I am. Wrong.
I can't move it on the other screen.
Can you move it so this is me and that is there?
Is it not?
It's fine. I have no idea. Okay. Yeah, all right.
This is Commissioner Heron. That was a quick presentation, CK.
Still me. I think we're gonna do the camera on me and then.
This is Commissioner Cienko. Well, happy Tuesday, everyone. You always test things out before, but the day of the event, things go awry.
Technology, a blessing and a curse. Yeah, we need the camera on and the PowerPoint both, one in one. I don't juggle. I don't do card tricks either. I could do that. I could send you tons of baby pictures. And cats.
Yeah, what do you?
Okay.
It's still on YouTube, so but the on this. I've already stopped. Start what? It's up. It's already up.
Kyla. I need to do it without. No, I have.
Are you using one?
Yeah, so if it doesn't work, I can go ahead without it.
When Manny was here, it was. I don't know what this. What is the rectangle?
This is Commissioner Cienko. Ricky is a one-man show at the moment.
Okay.
It just showed up now. Okay. Okay. There we go. We're good now.
Okay. Okay. We got one.
Oh wait, we can't clap yet.
One. Need to.
Oh, shoot.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm going to have Kyla go on. This is me, my credentials. I'm going to have you move on to the next slide, Kyla. A little bit about who I am personally. I'm the current Director of Business Operations here at ACDHH. I started here in August of 2022. I'm a mom of 4 adult kids. I'm a Gigi to 6 grandkids, and I'm number 3 of 4 siblings. I also have a cat, and I'm homing my 3 daughters' cats, so I'm a Gima to kitties as well. If you want to go on to the next slide. A little bit about my background, my experience. I have both my bachelor's and master's in rehabilitation counseling with a specialty area working with deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf blind from Northern Illinois University. I'm a certified rehabilitation counselor. I held my CICT from 1999 to 2009, and I've recertified with BEI since 2020. I'm a licensed Arizona interpreter. I have well over 35 years of experience in the field. I have served on the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitation Services federally on their Project with Industry grants. I used to do peer reviews for them. I currently do peer reviews for both Federal Rehab Services Administration, which is the federal voc rehab program, and with the Administration for Community Living for their National Institute on Disability, Independent Living, and Rehabilitation Research. I serve as a peer reviewer for them, usually once a year, sometimes as many as 3 times a year. I used to be on a statewide transition council when I was working in Wisconsin. I've been on 2 interpreter prep program advisory committees, one here and one in Wisconsin. I used to be on this commission and served as chair. I'm currently the board chair for ASDB. I've been with ASDB now for, I think about 2014 is when I started with them. I also previously served on the subcommittee for deaf, hard of hearing, deaf blind, and combined vision hearing loss vocational rehab services for the Council on State Administrators for Voc Rehab. And I can currently serve on the advisory committee for Southwest College for the Deaf in Texas. I'm not going to read through all of these. I'm going to move on to some other expertise and experience and talk a little bit more about my work history. I've had 13 years here with the state of Arizona. I started as a rehab counselor for the deaf up in Prescott Valley. I stayed there for about 6 months and took a promotion to become the statewide coordinator for deaf and hard of hearing services with VR, and was in that role from, 2012 until 2017, when I was promoted to the assistant program manager for VR services to persons with sensory disabilities, both blind and visually impaired, and those who are deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind. I have been a part-time video relay service interpreter for at least 13 years, and I spent 6 years here in Arizona as a volunteer for income tax assistance programs. In Wisconsin, I worked for the Center for Independent Living, running their deaf and hard of hearing programs. I managed 2 multi-agency federal rehabilitation grants that were specific to deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind youth, and then the second one was specific to deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind adults who would probably be considered deaf plus. Worked with the Center for Deaf-Blind in Milwaukee, Voc Rehab, the Independent Living Center, and then Aging and Long-Term Services with Milwaukee County to maintain that grant after we finished the 3 years on each side of the grant. I've been an ad hoc lecturer for both UWM's IPP, and I've been on the IPP portfolio review panel and an IPP mentor interpreter prep program. I've presented nationally in a variety of different settings. And then prior to that, I ran the deaf and hard of hearing day program services for a mental health day program. And then another 7 years of community and post-secondary interpreting, and guest lecture for both Northern Illinois University's rehab counseling program, as well as at the time Northern Illinois University's Institute on Deafness. All right, now I'll take the rest of the time to talk a little bit about my vision for ACDHH. Thank you. I think one of the first things is we need to make sure that we are retaining qualified staff. I think we've done a really good job of hiring qualified staff, but we need to make sure that we are retaining them and have avenues for them to move up a type of career ladder within ACDHH and have the ability to gain some additional leadership skills. Part of that, in my mind, is moving forward to have a succession plan in place so that as leaders retire, as leaders leave to other positions, we have staff in-house that have the ability to step into their shoes and have some training to back them up in that regard. One of the things I'm currently working on and would like to see continued is aligning our day-to-day activities with our strategic plan objectives, and we've been talking about that within our executive team meetings. Establish to align our current position descriptions with their actual job functions. We have people who have been who have the same position description that they may have started with in this agency, some of them 15, 20 years ago, and their jobs have changed, and I'd like to make sure that that's aligned. Their position description is aligned with what they're actually doing. I also have taken some hints from ASDB and would like to develop a compensation plan that aligns better with the education and years of services staff have. Secondly, I'd really like to engage and develop a robust commission, work with the commissioners in a way to provide meaningful outreach into the communities that you represent. I'd also like the commissioners and our current staff to be part of, and again, this is something we've talked about in the executive team meetings, with future strategic plan development and making sure that whatever we are working towards within the agency aligns with the governor's initiatives. Next, I'd like to see us strengthen our presence within the different communities that we serve. I think town hall meetings and or some type of, I don't want to say traveling roadshow, but something to that effect, to identify and meet with the stakeholders and access their ideas as part of ways to collect information and sort of a needs survey to find out what is actually needed within those communities. I'd like us to develop a statewide service plan for those communities. I think we need to conduct regular stakeholder meetings, not just commission meetings. And then also identify areas for potential agency growth to meet those needs. And finally, for agency longevity, I think we need to look at developing a plan for our long-term funding and funding stability. We receive a small percentage of the tax on the telecommunications system, and currently we only receive a small percentage from landline phones. As we all are very aware, landlines are becoming dinosaurs and there are less and less of them out there in the community. So that means our income stream continues to decrease. So we have worked with legislators previously and have been turned down to include digital phone taxes. And we're hoping that maybe we can approach that again in, I don't know if it'll be the next legislative session, but in one of the legislative sessions. But I think we also need to identify other funding opportunities that may be available to ACDHH in ways that we've not used them before. I also think we need to continue to identify key opportunities both in state and nationally for professional development for staff to offer those leadership opportunities to develop those skills to kind of tie back to that succession plan. The other thing we've talked about in executive team, and I really like this idea, is identifying potential legislative champions. Legislators who will work with us and will take some of our needs and present them in a way to the legislation that will help foster what we do here and help us grow the services that we continue to provide. Let's see. And I think I'll end with that. Okay.
This is Commissioner Cienko. Thank you so much, Sue Kay. I appreciate your patience as we figured out and worked through our technology challenges.
And I'm not sure, but
And like I said, Ricky is a one-man show today.
he is. Kyla, were they given access to this as well?
They don't have, not to
Okay.
this particular one, but
All
if
right.
you want me to share it, I can.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to share that with them. I think they had my resume as well.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is Commissioner Cienko. Please do share that.
All righty. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up to bat, Carmen Green Smith. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. And thank you for this opportunity to present to our board and the commission and the community. I'm trying to figure out where my voice is going.
So, just for our interpreters on Zoom, this is Kyla, by the way. Dustin will be voicing for Carmen here in the room.
Thank you.
Okay, so sorry, this is the interpreter on Zoom. Should we not be voicing? I was told we should, but should we not be voicing?
In this particular instance, are we saying? In this instance, no. We'll have Dustin voice just in here in the room with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Carmen. Just one moment. I need my glasses. Okay, I'm back. Again, thank you so much for this opportunity to present to the board and to the community. I am Carmen Green Smith. I'm an African American woman with black hair with copper highlights. I have on a blue shirt and black pants. So, a little bit about me. I'm a mother, a wife. I can't count my grandchildren anymore. There are too many. But as far as me in relations to this particular position, over 40 years ago, I had my first contact with the deaf community at Eastern North Carolina School for the Deaf. I was young at that time, and I really enjoyed working in the dorms with the kids who were close to my age at that time. So I had a very interesting path in my career. I had the pleasure of working with many members of the deaf community in North Carolina, and I learned so much from them. My experience in North Carolina, I was there for 20 years, working in a variety of positions in the dorms, focusing on the dorm curriculum, what the students were learning, independent living skills, and so forth. It was later when I moved to the North Carolina Department of Services for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. I started as the interpreter coordinator. From there, I moved up to the center manager. And the last 10 years of my service there, I was the manager of 2 resource centers that covered 36 of the North Carolina's 100 counties. It was a lot of work. I currently have a certification in public management and public administration. I'm also a licensed ASL interpreter. I have knowledge on laws, resources, in order to support and advocate for the deaf, hard of hearing, and deafblind communities. I'm a person who looks for results. I'm reliable, I'm honest, and I'm a supportive leader, empathetic leader. Now, some of my accomplishments during my time here with ACDHH, my almost 22 years here with ACDHH, I've worked as the deputy director. I was the internal lead for the completion and successful completion of the 2019 Sunset Review. That review is related to how the agency runs and the services that we provide to make sure that we meet the statutory and rules for our agency. I led the development of the SSP contracts with the University of Arizona for the SSP curriculum. I've also collaborated with many different organizations and agencies. One of my most recent collaborations has been with the Phoenix Association of the Deaf for the COVID vaccinations. And that was a partnership with the Department of Health Services. I've also successfully provided justification and advocacy for an agency staff interpreter. As our agency grew, I recognized the need for internal support, for equal access, and the ability to be able to participate in virtual meetings at the last minute. We needed someone on staff for that support, for the deaf staff, and for when meeting with service providers on the go. I've also been the lead for the 5-year rule review process. And when I say that, that includes compliance with rules that support the statute. And I've provided presentations to the Governor's Regulatory Review Council. Another accomplishment includes working with a variety of agencies. But one of my first initiatives when I got here in 2003 was to set up the Deaf World experience, which is an immersion experience, and it was wonderful. However, the name has changed to Different World, and we call it Different World because we represent the full spectrum of individuals with hearing loss: deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind. So the terminology is more appropriate to make sure that the agency was providing information about all of the different communities. We recently changed that name to Experience Our World, which continues to represent all communities. Current initiatives that I'm working on for the agency is to implement the agency strategic plan. I represent the agency when the executive director is unavailable. I provide consultation to the executive management on the strategic plan and agency needs. I currently provide guidance and feedback to both the directors of business operation and the director of public policy. I have led the staff in the provision of more than 1 million services annually, and provide coaching and mentoring for staff to ensure that they have a strong foundation on how we provide services and how we meet the needs of our communities. I work with local, state, and national organizations to stay abreast of what's happening in a variety of our communities. One of the programs that I recently supervised staff for is for the Hearing Healthcare Assistance Project, and it was a success. At ACDHH, my roles and responsibilities include providing advocacy, education, outreach in order to improve the quality of lives for deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind and speech-impaired individuals. We currently serve, and there are more than 1.3 million individuals across the communities with hearing loss that we serve. We have 15 counties, and we have 21 staff currently. Now, my vision for advancing ACDHH and expanding ACDHH. First, looking for resources for the budget. We do get that landline tax. However, we need more. It's not enough. Very recently, the Joint Legislative Budget Committee did a forecast through 2028 and reported a healthy general budget through 2028. Now's the time to ask to be part of the general fund, as well as looking for other resources to support our communities. Another vision of mine is to build a stronger state agency relationships through education and advocacy. What that may look like would be us meeting with leaders to agree to talk about ways to partner and improve the services that they provide, that we can provide in addition to them to stay on top of things. I won't accept just a one-time agreement. I will request annual reviews in order for the deaf, hard of hearing, and deafblind communities to be stronger. What often happens is we advocate and we find success there, but then the next individual who tries to access those same services are then denied. And how we will provide this is by providing more. And that is a requirement for the position to follow statutes that government agencies provide access to everyone. Increase rural community outreach, and what that may look like is working with a variety of community members and organizations to ask what their needs are and in my first 10 to 12 months, I would like to set up 2 pilot offices, one in Tucson and one in Flagstaff, to work with the communities and organizations there to figure out how their needs differ in those different areas. During that pilot time, each of those offices will have 5 counties that they represent, where we can reach out to agencies and organizations in order to partner with them and support the communities. Everyone will not have to come to Phoenix. Additional outreach for Spanish speakers, the Spanish-speaking community, and tribes. Promoting awareness for all communities that we serve. Supporting diversity, focusing on specific needs, and improving the overall quality of life for all. But how does that happen? The collective impact. For each of these communities, hard of hearing, deaf, and deaf-blind, families, organizations, professionals, interpreters, CART providers, all service providers. ACDHH will be the foundation and support to those communities. We do that by complying with statutes, rules, and policies, and knowing what our responsibilities are. Those are just a few of the areas that we'll be focusing those services. Interpreter licensure, how can we improve that? And following the four-year process of establishing interpreter licensure. I've worked with a variety of communities, and I've worked with the stakeholders who are invested in the process. I've heard both positive and negative responses. A leader has to be prepared for that. There will be challenges and conflicts. You need a strong person who can lead the facilitation or identification of who the agencies are and who the best individuals are in our staff talent to lead those processes. The leaders are not always the most out front, which is an important quality of someone who does the job to also work with the leaders. I will continue to focus on education and provide the healthcare support and enforcement, law enforcement, our police curriculums. We've all heard the story with Phoenix Police. I led an 18-month training session with the Phoenix Police Department. Clearly, it's time to revisit that. And I've also worked in emergency preparedness.
Prior to that, I've also worked with different communities. So before I talk about my values, I want to talk about what the vision means to the individual communities. We have deaf communities who needs access and stable access going forward. Now, for our hard of hearing communities, we need more advocacy here. We need more we need more education options. We need support for our hard of hearing communities. And when we talk about hard of hearing related issues, I want to make sure that we're more focused on that group specifically. Now, looking at the deaf blind community, we're looking for support in the terms of funding for support service provider trainings. And in addition to that, we want to look at the co-navigators that serve this population and make sure that they are strongly supported for those communities as well. And for those who are the sweetest of all in our communities, are precious children. And that means that we're going to really have to look at partnerships and see who's responsible for language acquisition and working to better support families for those who, from the moment those little kiddos are born and they go through those hearing screenings, they need professionals right there in that moment to get the message out to the parents that their deaf and hard of hearing child has support. And like I said, we need to make sure we're providing professionals with support too within the community. And lastly, I want to talk about my values. Ultimately, respect. Respect for all, regardless of your hearing status, your communication choices, your modalities, regardless of your disability, your race, your gender, your ethnicity, or your religion. Now, I believe that the talent and pursuit of professional development is important as well. So we want to be able to support our staff to become better at what they do. To have a succession plan so that those who want to improve their skills can do so. And more importantly, to provide a safe working environment for our agency staff and a safe environment for any person receiving our services across the board. I want to say thank you again for allowing me this opportunity to share my experiences and my vision for this agency. And I look forward to working with all of you.
This is Commissioner Cienko. Thank you so much, Carmen. And thank you, Sue Kay, as well. Those were wonderful presentations. Next item on the agenda is the candidates' interviews. If the board members would like to, however, take a 5 or 10 minute break.
Yes, we would.
5 minutes? Okay, we'll take a 5-minute restroom break.
And then we'll meet back here.
Kyla, will the interviews be taking place here or in another room?
Yes, they will be in this room in 5 minutes. And that will give us enough time to test the technology.
Okay, we will take a 5-minute break and come back at, it's 5:36 now, so come back at, my math is not mathing.
We could just say 5:45.
Come back at 5:42. That gives us 6 minutes.
We have a math professor here.
Commissioner Goodstein has a PhD in math.
I'm
Just need 5 minutes. Thank you.
I retired in 2003, so sorry, I'm not doing any math anymore.
Yeah, but it's inside. Oh, yeah, we're eating crackers. Yeah, the man, yeah. Yeah. I remember big mustache. Oh, what he did, he came up. No, that was pretty stupid. Hi.
Cost.
It's a little warm. It's a little sweaty.
Ricky, are we live? This is Commissioner Cienko.
Yes, we've been live for about 2 minutes.
Be nice and give me a heads up. Hello, Arizona. I think it's fair to say that I pick on ACDHH staff enough, and they failed to let me know that we're back and we're live. What's that about? All right, we'll go ahead and get started with our interviews. But before we start with the interviews, I want to remind our commissioners that the interviews will be conducted in close executive session. Any motions?
This is
Commissioner Herron?
Commissioner Herron. I move to go into a executive session for our interviews.
We have a motion from Commissioner Herron to go into an executive session for the interviews. It's been seconded by Commissioner Kidd. All in favor? Please raise your hand. And we'll check in with those individuals online. Do you agree to move into executive session?
All commissioners online have voted yes.
Awesome. We will move into executive session. Ricky, please put up the signage indicating that we are in executive session. And we're going to test a few of these kinks out first with Ricky. We good to go? Okay, we are now live. Welcome back. Thank you everyone for your patience this evening while we address several technology challenges. It's definitely been a learning experience for everyone involved, so thank you again. The interviews went great. The next item on our agenda is future agenda items. Do commissioners have anything they would like to discuss at a future meeting? Commissioner Scarborough, do you have something?
Yes, I actually have a couple of things. One, can we please ask the commission to provide a deeper education to the legislature in terms of what the ADA entails and what it means? And then report back just to let us know what happens with that. The second item for the agenda would be collaboration with DCS, which I'm sure will happen, but I think it would be helpful to know what's going on.
And for clarification, that's Department of Child Safety.
Right. So in terms of the ADA, I know back in July of 2023, they had an ADA coordinator that they hired. And ASCB has been working with DCS for many years prior to that for them to be able to use interpreters and to be able to communicate with deaf community members using interpreters and not relying on anything else, right? So we have been ignored historically. And now we're actually learning that they have an ADA coordinator. And I only learned that from the AZ Central news article that I read, because they never told us that they had an ADA coordinator. So I think that would have been nice to know. And I would think it would be great if the commission could support us in supporting them so that kids are not taken away from their families. So that's the other issue that I have that I'd like to see on the agenda.
This is Commissioner Cienko. I agree that that should definitely be on our next regular board meeting so we can hear about what's happening over at DCS because my goodness. Yes, definitely. Sarah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to bring up an issue that just as there is often a shortage of ASL interpreters, so too, at least from my employment experience, there is a shortage of captioners, particularly in-person captioners. And I wondered, I know that we don't license captioners or anything like that in this state, but I wondered if the commission could look at that situation because I think it ties directly into the employment aspects for the hard of hearing that we were talking about at the end of the last segment. So study it like we have studied the shortage of interpreters.
This is Commissioner Cienko. I agree completely. Kyla, can you add that to the next agenda on how ACDHH, in the January meeting. So first, how we partner with DCS and how we can work with their ADA coordinator to ensure that our deaf and hard of hearing and deaf-blind youth have the access that they need. Also, look into DCS and their working with deaf parents. I think that's an important population. I would also like to see a study done on the captioner CART provider shortage, as was brought up by Commissioner Sarah. Anything else you would like to see discussed and added to a future agenda? Please know that at any time from now until January 19th-ish, when we have our next board meeting, if you think of anything it can still be added to the agenda if you feel like it's an important discussion topic. Just reach out to Kyla, and she will work to make sure that we get everything on there. I want to take time now to thank our candidates for being here and for presenting tonight and for going through the interview process. I want to thank Ricky for all of his help as we worked through our tech challenges. I don't know where we would be without you. So a little round of applause for you. Thanks, Ricky. Last but not least, I want to thank Kyla for all of your hard work putting the agenda together and getting the interview questions together. She just got back from vacation yesterday, and I'm sure she's drowning in her work, but you've done amazing work, so thank you. Also, thank you to all ACDHH staff who are here tonight to support this event. Thank you so much, and thank you to the community members who reached out to share their opinions and concerns. Your input is valuable, and you are so much a part of this process, so thank you so much. With that said, we will entertain a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. I see RJ, you're ready for bed. You're falling asleep over there.
Yes, I'm ready to go back home. I move to adjourn the session.
This is Commissioner Stanko. We have a motion. We have a second from Commissioner Madsen and from Commissioner Thompson. Good night. Have a great rest of your week. I will see you on Zoom on Friday. Thank you. Have a good night.